Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Night Live. This is the first time in a few weeks that I've been here because July has been super, super busy. I have had the opportunity to travel to lots of great places to get to share my message and get to support teachers and hear your stories. And so it's been really, really fun. But tonight we're going to talk about really starting out the school year strong and really building that thriving classroom community. So I would love for you, if you are here, to share in the chat who you are, where you're coming from. And as I share tonight, I would love for you to share your ideas too, as you're thinking about planning back to school and building those relationships with kids, getting to know their names, getting to know their favorite things. We all have ways that we do that well, and I think that we're better together. So please do share your thoughts and ideas with us. Charmaine, I'm so excited to see you here. Thank you so much for joining from New York. And my daughter is actually here from New York right now. She lives in Brooklyn. And it's been so great to have her around. And Charmaine, I'm super excited because you are one of the people that are going to be joining in on the Amazing Race Adventures with me here this semester. So excited to get to know you and get to join in on that adventure with you. So let's go ahead and just jump in, because I do have a lot of things that I want to share with you all. And as I shared in just the advertisement for this episode, we're going to be talking about building a thriving classroom community and really the magic of those new beginnings. And so I have a bit.ly there on the bottom of the screen that is case sensitive. So make sure you get all the capitals and lowercase correct on that. But this is a little website that I curated with just some resources that I'm going to, from this particular episode, that I want you to have access to. And as I share, and if I think of other things, I'll add that to this resource hub as well. But I wanted to make sure that you all had the links to be able to get the content that I was sharing about. And Charmaine says I'm in upstate, so about a 4-hour drive north from the city. I was wondering exactly where that was. I have a friend that lives in Horseheads, New York. So I'm wondering if you are close to that. So as we start today talking about building this community, I want to share, first of all, the way that I have started my school years. And this basic structure is a structure that I have used no matter what level of culinary I taught, what class I taught. I just adapted it based on the students that were in my class. I adapted it to the subject area and the content that I was teaching. So the first thing that I do on that first day is I focus on my students' favorite things. And so I will have the sound of music playing in the background as they're coming into the classroom. I'm greeting them at the door. They're coming in. And then I start the class by talking a little bit about me and my favorite things and the things that I love. And then I have this counter of freshly made Play-Doh that is covered with a tablecloth. So they don't see that at the beginning of the class. And I made this Play-Doh with my Hobart mixer. I, taught culinary arts. And so I had that on hand that I could whip up this Play-Doh. But of course you could do this with just, Play-Doh that you buy at Walmart, right? The little Play-Doh play pack, those little party packs are great to use for this as well. And so this initial idea I got from Dave Burgess, who is my publisher friend. He wrote the amazing book, Teach Like a Pirate. And he talks about, this activity where students are sculpting their favorite things, the things that they love out of Play-Doh, to really get to know them. And this is such a powerful thing to do, because what I find is that there's something about Play-Doh, right, that just relaxes you. Just being able to get your hands in that Play-Doh, start sculpting, and it kind of brings you back to kindergarten, right, or preschool, when we were spending a lot of time in Play-Doh. And it's fun to watch kids, as they're sculpting in Play-Doh, really start talking about the things that they love. I had these stainless steel tables in my class. And so I would actually allow them to use dry erase markers on the tables. You can see an example here. And they would write some things about the things that they were sculpting. But what I also noticed is that students started to just ask each other questions. Those freshmen that maybe were intimidated by the seniors were starting to feel a little bit more relaxed. Those seniors that were maybe really irritated by the freshmen were starting to, feel like they were connecting as well. And I was writing these things down. I had kind of my roster and I was writing things down as they were sculpting because I wanted to have those conversation starters as I was building those relationships that I could draw on and make those connections. But what I would do after this first day of really focusing on the favorite things of my students, and some of the things that they created were pretty amazing, just really allowed me to see their personalities too, and maybe how detail oriented they were, or just maybe how creative and skilled they were, like in an artistic way, right? But what I would do the next day is I would group my students in groups of 3 or 4. And there was a number of ways that you could do this, right? You could use something like Wheel of Names and randomly have a digital tool choose those names. Maybe you have students line up by birthday and then you choose groups that way. There's a number of ways. Monica is here. Oh my goodness, Monica, I'm so happy to see you here. You're amazing. And I would love to hear just your ideas for getting to know those kindergartners at the beginning of the school year. But as I put them into these groups of 3 or 4, I gave them this envelope. And when they opened up, but before they opened up the envelope, I asked them to share with each other the favorite things that they had sculpted out of Play-Doh that day before. And so they would start sharing. And then once they had done that, I would give them this envelope. They would open it up and there was a recipe for Rice Krispie treats. And I would tell them, today you are going to be making Rice Krispie treats, but not what you think. Instead of making your typical Rice Krispie treats in a pan, right, that you cut into squares, I want you to take all the things that you created out of Play-Doh yesterday, the things that were your favorite. I want you to somehow as a team come together with a scene that you can create out of Rice Krispie treats that really depict all the things that you shared. And this would be an example of that, right? I did have some sprinkles, some embellishments that they could use. So in this group, there was somebody that loved watching Netflix. There was another student who had danced most of her life. There was another one that loved watching musicals. I think somebody else loved The Color Yellow. And so here they are sculpting their favorite things into a scene. And they are having fun. They're laughing. They are getting to know each other. They're having to tap into that creativity, right? And it's really, really awesome to see all of that happen. And those of you who are not in a kitchen where you can have your students making Rice Krispie treats, right? Monica, I'm sure that's not something that you would have your students do in that first week. There's a lot of ways that you could do this activity with other things. So in the elementary class or in any class really that you don't have that kitchen, you could have your students still use Play-Doh just like they did the day before, but now they're sculpting a scene out of Play-Doh and they're combining all the things that they love. Maybe you have them use Legos, right? Maybe you have them go into a digital tool like Canva or Adobe and you have them do a scene using a creative graphic design platform like those two. There's so many different things that we could do. And if you are thinking in your mind, oh my goodness, this is what I could do to have my students bring all their favorite things together, please share it in the chat. So I would love to hear what those ideas are that you are having. But this is just a really great kickoff to the school year. Again, letting those walls come down a little bit, allowing them to tap into that creativity, start collaborating and communicating in a really fun, non-threatening way. And then you are getting all of these ideas and all of this information about your students that you're going to be able to draw on as you go through the semester. So those first 2 weeks are all about relationship building in my class. And I want to share with you how I kind of bring this into what I have called the Magical Mystery Relationship Building Tour. I have woven this into all of my gamified classrooms. So when I did the Amazing Race and the Great Food Truck Race and Master Chef, I might not have called it this. I would have called it something that connected to those themes. However, it was all structured very similarly. And that structure was that through those first 2 weeks, I was having students basically not compete necessarily, but work within groups to do these challenges. And sometimes they were competitions. And they would, every time that they would get into a group to do a team building activity or a challenge, they would be in different teams. And so I wanted to make sure that we were mixing them so that students were getting an opportunity to connect with all the students in the class, really to make sure that this classroom environment was safe and a place where they knew everyone. And every time that we would have a challenge, there would be a challenge where you might have a team that won, right? They would earn one of these mystery badges. And they look like this. I would print them out on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. But notice how there are these numbers here in the center. So I might have a sheet of 100s, and then I might have a couple sheets that had 75 points, and maybe 4 or 5 sheets that had 50 points. And so I would cut them all out and I would laminate them as well. And I would have fewer of the higher numbers and more of the lower numbers. But what would happen is as students were winning, these teams were winning the challenges, everybody on that team would get one of these badges. And the numbers that were on these badges would be covered with a scratch off sticker. So they wouldn't see what number was on it. They would randomly get these badges, but they would not be able to see how many points were attached. And I wouldn't let them scratch it off until the end of this 2-week period. And so students were accumulating these badges because remember, every day they're in different groups and they were not able to do anything with them. And then on that last day of this kind of relationship building tour, kind of the last day of this introductory unit, I would give them pennies and they would scratch off all of their scratch off stickers that they had accumulated from their badges. And then the highest point holders would be team leaders. And what I would do is I would do kind of this football style draft. And so I would have all of these, let me back up just a moment. During those first 2 weeks, students would fill out a Google form that was kind of like not a resume. It was kind of like it was kind of like a resume where they would write out the things that almost like an application, right? But they would basically be sharing maybe their 3 best like skill sets, right? Things that they were strongest in. Maybe they would share 3 things that maybe that they were really wanting to work on in the year ahead, and maybe sharing some things about them, like their personality. And then I would have those all printed. And so on this day, when they were scratching off stickers, the top 8 students that had the highest amount of points would be team leaders. And I would lay out all of these kind of applications/resumes out on a table in kind of a grid, and all of their names are off. None of the names are on these applications or resumes. And the 8 top point holders would one by one pick a resume that they would like to have on their team. Again, no names are on these. And what I would talk about is, well, before they did this, is I would talk about what makes a good team. We need a variety of skill sets, right? We want a variety of personalities. We don't want the same, everybody to be the same, because I talked about the power of a team and how we all need each other. And so they would be very thoughtful in picking this team that would be really diverse in abilities and strengths. And I found that doing it this way, we just go one by one. So every one of the 8 would pick a resume, and then we'd go back to the number 1 point holder again, and they would pick one, and until everybody in the class was on a team. And what I found by doing this is that the students really were thoughtful about putting these teams together. And so we started out with stronger teams. And I, as a culinary teacher, had chosen teams like for years and years and years. And I'd done it a variety of different ways. And I found that this way was the strongest way that I'd ever done it because, again, students were really thoughtful to how they were building this team. They weren't just picking their friends or people that they wanted to be on a team with. They were really taking names and people completely out of the equation, and they were just building teams on what was on these resumes. So anyway, it was really, really powerful. And so this could be done across grade levels, across subject areas. And if you did not have a team class where you weren't needing to put students in teams, you could definitely still do this. And maybe the top point holders, maybe that would just be an incentive, right? As you were going into a unit, or it would give them a special privilege for that week coming up. I also want to share that that first couple weeks, I'm not just focusing on relationship building. We are talking about a lot of things, and we might be, if it's like in my culinary arts 2 or 3 class, we might be reviewing some things that we learned in the previous semester. We might be going over lab procedures. We might be talking about just those foundational things that you need students to know at the beginning of the school year. So there's a lot happening in those first couple weeks, but really a large focus on building those relationships. So I have a variety of these community building challenges. And again, I have shared all of these with you in that link that I put at the front here. I'm going to go back to it really quick. So this bit.ly /SNL Thriving, I'm going to add it to the chat as well, is where you are going to find all of the resources that I'm going to be sharing tonight. And again, if you have resources that you are excited about and you want to share, please let me know. I could even add it to this website that I've created for you. So I also want to share about this fun activity that you can do in Canva. And I just posted this on Twitter actually tonight, and it's creating this About Me activity with letter frames. And I am going to actually back out of this presentation, and I'm going to show you exactly how you are able to create this in Canva. And so if you are familiar with Canva, this is going to probably be something that you're going to be able to kind of do right away. If you're not familiar with Canva, then it might be something that you would want to do, that you might want to do right at the beginning, but maybe it's something that you can do later on in the school year. But essentially, I am in a Canva presentation deck. So I've gone to my homepage in Canva, and I've just opened up a presentation deck without a template. We're just in a blank template right now. And what I want to do is I want to build a deck that has the number of slides of students I have in my class. And so I might first color this a certain color. Maybe I want to give it a gradient, kind of blue, yellow background. And then I just want to duplicate this. So I'm just going to choose 20. I know you might have more students in your class than that, but we'll start with 20. So before I invite students to all come into this presentation deck, I'm going to model what I want them to do. And I'm going to model that for you right now. I'm going to go into my elements, and I'm going to go into my letter frame. So I'm clicking frames. I'm going down to letters, and I am just going to spell out my name. So I'm going to bring in a T and an I and an S and an H. We're just going to spell Tish just for my abbreviation here. I'm going to space these out and put them in the center of my page here. So I've spelled out my name, and now what I want to do is I want to go in and drop photos and videos that represent me and maybe the things that I love. And so I'm going to go over to my elements again, back out of my letter frames, And I am going to bring in some things that I love. So I might want to type in beach because I love the ocean and I love the ocean at sunset. So I'm going to select this picture here. And I'm going to drag these corners so that it's not quite so big, so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to hover over my T and just drop it. Now, if I double clicked on this picture, I could drag and move it a little bit. Maybe I want to make sure I get the sand in there. I can move it exactly where I want it. Now for the eye, maybe I want to type in books because I love to read. So I might find a picture of books and hover it over my eye. Now I live in Southern Oregon and I'm just going to type in Oregon here, and I love the ocean. I mean, I love the lakes and the mountains and the forest. So I'm this time going to look for a video. And I'm going to bring in a video that I can drag and drop right into the S that's going to play right within that letter. And then for my H here, I am going to find a picture of ice cream because ice cream is my favorite. Let's see what it looks like to drop this one in. I'm going to pick a different one because I want it to show up a little bit differently. So I'm going to go to see all. And I'm going to find a picture of ice cream that I love. Here's one that kind of has a bunch of scoops of ice cream. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in. So now I have spelled out my name with the things that I love. So I have the ocean, I have books, I have the kind of forest view of Oregon, and then I have some ice cream. So after I've modeled this for students, I am going to share this link with them. And so to share this link, I'm going to go up to my share menu and I am going to click on anyone with a link. Now, if you are a part of a Canva for Education district and you are on a team, you would want to probably pick the team that you're on. But I'm going to go ahead and click Can Edit and copy this link. Now, your students will need to have a Canva account to do this. And that might be a whole other episode. If your students don't have a Canva account, I'll do another episode coming up on how you can bring your students into a class in Canva. But I shared that link now. So now I copied that link. So now I can share this link with students however I would share links. So maybe that is through your learning management system. Maybe it's through another way, but you're going to share that link with students. And then they're all going to be able to open it and they're all going to kind of splash in here on the top. You're going to see all of their icons. And they are now going to be able to collaborate with this presentation deck. So I might have students jump to a slide in this presentation that hasn't been claimed and have them go in and build out their name with those letter frames. Now, one little tip that I like to give is if you go down to the bottom here and click on those three little dots, you can actually add your name. So you can put type name here, right? And so now when students come in here, they're going to be able to type their name here and it's going to show up. Let me show you what it looks like when I add my name to my page. I add it there, and now you can see it here on the bottom, but also when I go into grid view, it's going to show up right here. And this is really helpful because when I am in grid view, I can see students working in real time. I can have it on my portable device, and I can be walking around supporting students who might need extra help. So all your students are in this deck because you've shared them with them the link. They're all here. So now what you want them to do is, again, claim a slide and then turn on your timer here on the bottom for about 5 minutes. Now, if this is their first time ever in Canva, you might want to give them 10 minutes, right? So you are going to know how comfortable your students are in Canva. Maybe you might want to vary this based on the age of your students. And then you can even set the music so that you have some either focus music, some upbeat, energetic, or lo-fi music going on in the background, and you're going to click play. So students are going to be able to see the time and then work on these pages to build out their name. I want to check this chat because I see that Monica and Charmaine are there. Oh, okay. Horse says it's about an hour drive to the west. Okay. That helps me know where you're located. And Monica says, I'm hoping that I can use their snack as a way to do the About Me activity. That would be so fun, Monica. I would love to hear how that goes. Yes, the Canva letter frames are so fun. They are really, really fun. So what I love about this is that you set the time, right, for students to create these letter frames. But if they get done early, they can embellish these. So maybe they want to go in and they want to change the background. They can do that. Maybe they want to add another kind of gradient color. They also can go in and they can add other things that they love just as graphics. So maybe they have dogs at home that they love and they find a picture of a dog that looks like their dog at home. They can go in and they can bring those in and bring them into their design. Maybe they have maybe they want to record a video. They can go into their video recorder here and they can record themselves and they can share a little bit about themselves as a video recording. So there's a lot of possibilities. Now, once the time is up, what you can have students do is when you go into present mode, you can show this on the screen and then you can give every student maybe a 15, 30-second runway as you're clicking through each page of the presentation deck and have students share about their page. And don't have it be a long explanation. Maybe you have them just do, again, 15, 30 seconds about their name so they can share how it's pronounced and they can share some of the things that they love. What I love about this is you're getting to know how they pronounce their name so that you get it right. You're also learning about the things that they're really into so that you have those conversation starters to really get to know your students throughout the school year and as those first weeks of school begin. And also, not only are you just getting to know your students are getting to know each other as well, which is really, really powerful. Now, if you are in a grade level class where you're thinking, you know what, I don't think my students are going to be ready to do something collaborative like this right from the get-go, that's okay. What you can do is you could just create a template and maybe you just have one page so you could get rid of all of these other pages, right? So I'm just going to delete these. And maybe on that first page, you give instructions if you would like to, and maybe give an example. And then you have them create their letter frame on the second page. And you just share this as a template link. So I can go over here and you may not see it. You might have to go into your more menu for this, but I'm going to grab template link, copy that. And now I can share that with through my learning management system. And every student is going to have their own copy that they're going to be able to use and then be able to turn that back into you however you capture assignments, which is really fun. I'm going to share with you one other idea. So as students create these letter frames, maybe you don't have a great way for them to share these back with you. In Canva, I'm going to just go to my Canva right now. I'm going to open up a whiteboard. And this is kind of an infinite space that you never run out of room in. So I'm going to go into my whiteboard and I am going to add kind of a backdrop here. So I have kind of a place for them to be able to drop things. And I'm going to go to my three little dots and I'm just going to lock this background in place so it's not movable. And what I can do is I can create a gallery here. So I could go in and if I was the student who was wanting to share this, I could go in and I could create a public view link, copy that, and then I can paste that right within my whiteboard. And so what will happen, it's not going to embed. It should, let's see if I can do it this way. There it goes. So now I've added my letter frame right within this gallery. So every student can go in, copy that public view link, paste it into their this gallery here, and now everybody's going to be able to see everybody's names. And so now you could just put this gallery up on your screen in your classroom, and you could have students one by one share. So anyway, some, I think, fun ideas for really getting to know your students at the beginning of a school year. There's so many ways. And so as you are watching this, if you're watching this after the fact and aren't able to be here live tonight, in the chat, share your favorite ideas, the ways that you are getting to know your students. Really powerful when we can just spend that time to really focus on the relationship building. What I've found is it pays dividends, because when students feel safe, when they feel supported, when they feel comfortable sharing with each other, the learning is going to go far deeper and far further. And so I really encourage you to spend those extra moments in those first weeks, really establishing those relationships. And we are at time. And so I'm going to go and be sharing more ideas for really creating that thriving classroom culture in the beginning of the school year in the coming weeks. Know that I would love to connect with you. If you are on social media other than Facebook and you're on X or Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok, I am in those spaces as well. So please do connect with me. I've added links in that website that I curated for you where you can click right on so that you can follow me. And I'll be sharing lots of resources in those places as well as we begin the school year and throughout the school year. And I'm just so glad that that for those of you who joined in, it's really great to see you. And for those of you who are joining in after, again, add your thoughts, add your ideas in the chat, and I'm really thinking of all of you and excited for all of you as you begin a new school year. And I just want you to know that I am here to support you. So thanks so much. Have a great night, everyone.